What's up, everybody? It's Mr. Aha. Today's a very, very special episode. It's a recap of my career, year 4 in Manresa. Let's get into it.
I like you, girl, in particular. You in particular. I like your waist in particular.
Mr. Aha.
Hey. Falling to Akbekus like a beast. Hey. Now me be the captain of our ship. Sail.
So if you've watched this series, then you know that I'm recapping my career. And leading up into this, I was only in France. I was in 2nd division my first 2 years. And in the previous season, I was in Orléans, 1st division France. But I knew that it was time for me to leave France, and I knew it was time for me to play international competition. And I land in Manresa, Catalonia, 45 minutes from Barcelona. And honestly, like how this came up was my agents at the time knew what I wanted and they were working on it. And as I mentioned in the previous video, I went on to play for Nigeria. I connected with a guy by the name of Jordi Fernandez. He is now the current Brooklyn Nets head coach. Shout out to you, Jordi. You deserve it. But as soon as I met him, I just knew that I liked this guy. I liked what he had to say, and I believed him, and I trusted him. And as we spent more time together, you know, we got closer, and he told me that a team named Manresa would be very good for me.
El lanzamiento no entra, pero viene Chima, Moneke. Moneke se galopa al campo de lado. ¡Boom! ¡Moneke! ¡Boom! ¡Oh! Moneke! Moneke!
And obviously I knew the team, and I had several offers and interests at that time from other teams in Spain. But he told me that Pedro Martinez is the coach for me. He said, in his words, it won't be easy, but in the end, it will be the most beneficial thing that I could do. Not playing for a coach like Pedro, playing for Pedro. So, you know, I trusted him. I trusted the words of my agent. And I just knew that that was the decision that I had to do. So I headed to Manresa. But first, I didn't head to Manresa. I was stuck in America because I'm a Nigerian with passport issues, and I've had passport issues every single year of my career except for the year before when I was stuck in France because of COVID. So yeah, I was stuck in America, and I had to wait a couple extra weeks, which was good because I missed out on preseason, at least the first half of preseason, and I heard that that season, it was pretty brutal. So, you know, I got there, and I remember I landed, and then the next day they were playing a friendly game against Barcelona, so it was just good to see the type of basketball that would be played. But, you know, seeing the team and getting to know the guys, immediately I knew that something special was gonna happen. And everyone seemed like great people in the locker room, and we just all seemed like we got along early. You know, I got to give a shout out to every single person that was on there. Danny Perez, Danny Garcia, Yankuba Sima, Luke May, Joe Thomason, Guillaume Joe, Sylvain Francisco, Elias Valtonen, Marcus Steinberg, Wampi Vowlet, Rafa Martinez. Like, honestly, that team was very special. And if anybody watched us play that season, they understand what I'm talking about. We played with joy. We played with swag, with passion, with flair, with energy. And, you know, heading into the season, yes, again, kind of like Orléans the previous season, we're a team that wasn't expected to do much. Maybe we could be entertaining, but I remember seeing tweets saying, you know, none of the imports had played in the ACB before, and this team would struggle. All of this stuff, they're young, and we saw that, but we didn't care. So in the preseason, we played in the Liga Catalana against Andorra, and Badalona and Barcelona were on the other side. We beat Andorra in the first game. We matched up against Barcelona and we beat them. So it was a great start. Obviously, it's a trophy that it means a lot to us, but it's not the trophy that we needed. But beating a team like Barcelona at any point in the season is a huge deal for a team like us. So, you know, that gave us a lot of confidence going forward. But then the season didn't start too well. We lost at Zaragoza, and then we lost at home to Valencia. And we heard the noise. Everyone was saying, yep, it's going to be a long season. Let's just try and survive and stay in the ACB. And, you know, there wasn't much expectations for us in the ACB. And now we're playing international competition, the Champions League. And I remember there was no expectations for us in that either. Okay, you know, let's compete with Stal Ostro and, you know, not finish last. That was the mentality that people had for us, you know, headed in there. And excuse my language, but something clicked where we just didn't give a fuck, and we just played our game, and, you know, everything was going well. But a big part of my story in Manresa, I've said this multiple times, but was the relationship I had with Coach Pedro. And I love him. You know, we have a great relationship till this day, but it wasn't easy. You know, I've said this before, and he challenged me, he challenged us. And those that know me, those that don't know me, they see that I'm a passionate player, I'm an emotional player. And, you know, we had moments where we're going back and forth, and I felt like that was needed for us to, you know, unlock our full potential, because he trusted me, and I ended up trusting him. And I'll never forget it. It was the game against Malaga at home in October. We had like a disagreement after practice, and, you know, we went back and forth with each other, and it was like 20 minutes, and it, you know, it changed the season. At least it changed everything for me, because I knew that that coach Pedro had my back. And then from there, you know, we went flying. We finished first in that group, that Champions League group, where no one expected us to, you know, make it out of. We won the first 5 games in a row. And then at this point, you know, we're doing well in the ACB. We're making noise. We're dunking on people. We're dancing after games, during games. Other teams are hating on us. It was super fun. You know, we're beating all the big teams. You know, we're beating Gran Canaria at home. We're beating Tenerife at home. We're beating Real Madrid at Real Madrid. We're beating Barcelona at Barcelona. The only team that we didn't beat that entire season was Valencia. But yeah, basically, you know, everything is going really well. And then we have a game, probably my most memorable game. We're playing a game at home against Obradoiro. And at this point, we need to win this game to solidify our place in Copa, which is huge, you know, Copa del Rey. And that was the game where I had arguably my best game in my career. And I just felt like I was in the zone. I had 32 points, and the crowd was chanting for me, MVP, MVP. And I was dancing, escándalo, tu escándalo. Honestly, that was probably my favorite game. I had a lot of enjoyable moments that year, but that was probably my favorite game that year, and maybe in my entire career. The love that I felt from the fans in Manresa was just, I just can't compare it to anything else. And especially, yeah, in that moment, it was huge because it helped us get to Copa. We got to Copa and we got killed, but that's literally not the point. You know, I was injured, Francisco was injured, and, you know, Barcelona was pissed that we beat them twice. So they absolutely destroyed us. But we got to Copa, so a win for us. You know, lowest budget in the ACB. Can't be mad at it. But, you know, as we're flying through the end of the season, you know, we're killing it in the ACB. We're killing it in the Champions League. So after cruising through the first group stage in the Champions League, we finished first place. So we had the first bye automatically into the next group. And in that group, again, we finished first to head into the final 8. And in the final 8, we played against Malaga. And I think the first quarter was 29-4 or something like that. And all 4 of their points were free throws. It was like, it was the loudest that I've ever heard Nu Congos.
Maka hands it off to Perez, gets it back and throws it down. Taken away by Moneke. And quickly up to Valet. And he throws it down with 2 hands. Mid-season acquisition, Chima throws it down, and you can see which of these 2 teams has been flying higher this season.
It was incredible. Like, that game was crazy. I started the game off with a step back 3. I remember I had like a fast break dunk. Francisco, he had the play of the game and arguably the play of the season. You know, he caught the ball in an inbounds play with like a second left. He Randy Mossed the defender, and then he turned around and shot it, and it was a 3, and it beat the buzzer, and like everyone just goes crazy.
Aggregate. Anyway, the pass into Francisco, who gets it off in time. Can you believe it? What a play! Unbelievable.
It was just unreal. It was such a good environment, such a good time. And then, yeah, we just blew them out, beat them in Malaga to head to the Final 4, which was in Spain, in Bilbao. So we knew that we would have our fans travel and show us love. But heading back to the ACB, I think it was after round 27, we were 3rd place behind Barcelona and behind Real Madrid, which was such an unbelievable achievement. Obviously, the season wasn't done at the time, but it just shows you the type of year that we had. Everything was clicking. You know, guys were getting newspaper articles and videos done for them, and it was awesome. But then we suffered injuries. Genuinely, all 3 of our point guards got hurt around the same time. So we had to play games with Joe Thomason, and then we had a young guy come in and play 20-something minutes a game, Tony Naspler. So yeah, you know, we lost all 3 of our point guards, and then we ended up sliding and finishing 7th. And then heading into the playoffs to play against the 2nd seed, which is Real Madrid. But then heading back to Champions League, we're in the Final 4 in Bilbao. Our first game is against Lewisburg, and these guys play hard, they play fast. Their defense is just nonstop for 40 minutes. We knew it would be a tough game, and it was. Low-scoring game, but we got it done. And on the other side, we had to play Tenerife. And the first game in Tenerife was a crazy game in the ACB. In overtime, they got fouled shooting 3 free throws. Their best free throw shooter, he missed the last one to send us to overtime. And then we hit a game winner.
Ahí viene Dani García con la pelota, cruce de divisorias. Aguanta Dani García, deja fuera para Dani Pérez. Se levanta para ganar el partido. ¡Dani Pérez! ¡Canasta de Daniel Pérez Otero! Ganó Baxi Manresa 9-5, 9-3.
And then in Tenerife, it was one of the teams that we played when we had our injuries. We lost to them. And then the Final Four game was about a week later. So it was just a crazy timing of everything. And, they were the better team that night. And unfortunately, we lost, in the final match against Tenerife. Shout out to them, Marcelinho, Shermadini. They were incredible. They pushed us. And another positive note was I was the Champions League MVP that year, which was dope. Amazing honor. Never thought that I would get something like that, but just a special, special year. And then after this, honestly, we kind of felt like, our season's almost done. Even though we had games to play, we were tired, we were hurt. We were coming off this, emotional high. And then we had to play Real Madrid in the ACB playoffs, and we got swept, which is okay. Because overall, the season was fucking phenomenal. Somi Manresa, every single day of the week. Genuinely, I appreciate every single moment. But it was the most positive season, the most happy season, the most memorable season of my career. Financially, individually, team-wise, the locker room was perfect. Eating at La Soca every single day after practice was amazing. The guys, we had such a good bond that we would finish practice and we would just sit in the locker room and just talk for hours. It was crazy. I've never had anything quite like that, since college. So I want to give a special shout out to all my teammates, the coaching staff, everyone that worked in the team. I love all of you guys, the fans. Genuinely, every time I go back to Manresa, it's love. And, I went back to Manresa a couple years later, and this is how they received me. So yeah, you can see why Manresa is such a special place for me. So going into the season playing for Manresa, it's year 4. I had a goal for myself to get to the NBA before I was 28. At this time, I was 26. And, I thought the next step would be to go to a EuroLeague team. But I kind of skipped that step. And we'll talk about that in the next video. So I hope you stay tuned. But, just again to say that year 4 in Manresa was just a special year. Words can't do it enough justice. I'm grateful for this year. It changed my life. It changed my career. And who knows what will happen in the future. But it's Mr. Aha checking in and checking out. I appreciate you guys so much for showing me love. So yeah, it was honestly such a special year in Manresa. But you got anything to say? Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me here, here, and here.
Dot in those eyes. Don't take offense if I do not oblige. I can't relate, but like none of these guys. They hit me once.